In today's show, I'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin technical analysis and quoting Max Kaiser, the Bitcoin ETFs are a gateway drug to self-custody. Preach. Also, BlackRock Bitcoin ETF now holds over 25,000 BTC, worth over $1 billion. Would it take them 1 week? Also in today's show, spot Bitcoin ETFs on the 1 week Bitcoin sell-offs, but ETFs reap success. I'll be breaking down the latest statistics to how the ETFs are performing. We'll also be discussing Bitwise spot Bitcoin ETF in the top 5% of the largest ETFs launched in 2023. We'll also be discussing the latest with Bitcoin mining sustainability, energy usage hitting an all-time high of 54.5%. So when you accept in Bitcoin for Tesla cars, Elon, come on, stick to your word, big dog. Also in today's show, I'll be sharing 3 epic Bitcoin predictions shared by the Stock the Flow founder, Plan B. We'll also be discussing why Cathie Wood placed 25% of her wealth in Bitcoin. Also be sharing her bold bet unveiled of Bitcoin hitting 1.5 million per coin. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more in today's show. Welcome, crypto fam. What it do? Howdy. Barack Monfils Evangelista just gifted 5 memberships to the channel. So congratulations, Rambosito, Leonardo, Robert Rossiter, and David Parkenti, as well as Summer Sunrise. You've all been blessed with the MicroStrategy membership of the channel. So please show Barack some love for hooking you guys up. We have the most incredible family, and I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. So without further ado, family, if you're new to the channel, be sure to smash the subscribe button to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, just like this. Also be sure to pump the like to help pump the stream and hit the bell icon to turn on all notifications. It helps out tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. Today is pod episode number 1526. I'm your host, JV, and today is January 18th, 2024. Lot to cover as always, so let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day. Bitcoin's pulling back, maintaining just above 41,000 at the time of the live stream, down 3.5% for the day. We have Ether down 3.5%, maintaining above 2,400. BNB, one of the few altcoins in the top, actually in the green today, up 0.5%, while Solana's in the blood red. It did tap $100 yesterday, but correcting, down 8% on the day. We also have XRP and Cardano correcting, and in the red, they say when in doubt, JV, just zoom out. So here you go. Here's for the past month. Bitcoin still down 4% roughly. ETH up 10%, has been outpacing Bitcoin since their, what is it called? The dominance of ETH bottomed out at 14.9% last week, and now it's above 18%. We also have BNB and Solana crushing it, up over 25 and 28%. But checking out CoinMarketCap.com. The current crypto market cap sits at 1.62 trillion, currently on the decline, with 58 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance, same as yesterday, 49.7%, and the Ether dominance is still maintaining above 18.1%. And as I mentioned earlier, this dropped all the way down to a bottom of 14.9% last week and has been making a comeback. And checking out the top 100 crypto gainers of the past 24 hours, we got Flare leading the pack, up 7%, followed by Conflux, up 7%, followed by Sia Coin, up almost 3%. Below that, BitGet token, BNB, True USD, and First Digital USD, which is ultimately altcoins because not much of any of these alts are actually in the green on the day. Virtually everything is correcting and in the red as the market continues tanking. And checking out the crypto bubbles, let's check out the daily. You can see massive losses. What do we got? 3 out of the maybe 4 out of the top 100 coins actually in the green on the day. So virtually everything is in the red and correcting. And zooming out on the monthly, here we go. Most of the alts are still up on the month. I'd say roughly 60-40 green versus red. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index as we cover every day. We're currently back in greed with a 63. Yesterday was a 60. Last week we hit a high in extreme greed of 76. That was probably around the time we hit the 49,000 all-time high. Not all-time high of all time, but for the past 2 years. And last month we were a 73 in greed. So there you have it, my crypto fam. How far down do you think we're likely to correct to? Holla at your boy. Let me know. I'm going to read some more comments. I recommend adding no guarantee it will go lower. Why miss out if it takes off? There you go, Brian. When in doubt, just zoom out. Shout out to Rob E. Kaiser, Sid Math. I can concur with that sentiment. Bitcoin dropping it low, lifting it high. Let's go. Shout out to Aaron Court. I appreciate you joining the Huddle Gang and becoming a member of the channel. It greatly supports us, and I greatly appreciate your support. Thank you, family. Shout out to our Huddle Gang. Gotta wait 30 days to buy the dip again after selling. Why is that? Is that some regulation on your exchange, or you just need time to get some more money? Crypto bubbles are the best. I love the visual perspective as well of the market. Thank you, Kaiser. And if there's any resources you recommend I share when I do my market watch, I can add in addition to the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, the crypto bubbles and CoinMarketCap and Coin360. I'm open to ideas, so let me know if I'm missing out on something very valuable people would love to see. Silver Top says, DCA your Bitcoin. That's what's up. Thanks, Bears. I'll take your Bitcoin at this price. Tell him, Corey. 40 to 39K, and then we'll spike in the last week of January. Do you still think we'll hit 50 Gs before the end of the month? Let me know. Jesus saves. That's what's up. Bitcoin is dumping. They sent 10,000 this morning. Be patient and buy. Oh, you're referring to GBTC dumping the Bitcoin. Yeah. That's interesting. Cathie Wood is the hottest boomer. Yes, on the thumbnail, that's college Cathie Wood you're looking at, gentlemen. Listen, if all you don't buy, don't sell, and be rich, says Mario. Question, when Bitcoin is gone, what will be the best Bitcoin, Cash or Litecoin?
Bitcoin. What's the second best? There is no second best. There is no second best crypto asset.
Market manipulation. They can't manipulate the halving. This is true. We are going to see a halving in April. No one can stop that or delay it, family. Brian, 50 Gs, hell yeah. Staking Myro, says JP. JV, are you able to give 10 memberships per month? Honestly, don't know. I have no clue how it works. So I don't know if there's limitations on what you can do. I doubt it, because we've had people like, Zero, Casey, and there's actually more that have gifted 20 memberships in a single show. So I don't think there would be a limit on that. Shouldn't be, at least. Get sent out on January 30th, says Joe Trump. Did you see Trump says if he is elected, he's not going to allow CBDCs? So he claims. So he's getting a lot of the Bitcoiner support now. I don't know if you guys saw that. He did a speech the other day. Get sent out. They kept me on Coinbase to 10,000. Then I went to Kraken and bought the dip. Kudos to Kraken. Well done. 500 monthly salary in the Philippines, but still accumulating sats. Let's go. Shout out to Rafiq. I appreciate you out there. And when you see me doing this stuff, that's no sorcery. There's little gnats that fly, and I don't want them to fly in my mouth, because the worst thing is when you're doing a podcast and a gnat flies down your throat. Annoying. So I know you can't see it because it's so little, but when I be doing this, I'm like, get away from my mouth, mofo, or I'm going to crush you. Yeah. Trump, I'll take a free membership, says JC Adams. If we'll reach 1 trillion, this channel is nuts. I love it. Cheers, 357. What up, Jacob? Good to see you, family. What's new, Jennifer? Stack, can't get funds moved fast enough to buy the dip. Word up, Robert. I want 38,000 Bitcoin, and then I'll buy a lot more. Yep. DT will not allow CBDC. Talking about Trump. Next, so he claims. I don't know if they have the power to just say, we don't want it. They're just going to do what they're going to do regardless, in my opinion. But I think it's a great thing to say that, of course. He also said they were going to drain the swamp and put Hillary in prison. Hillary's still not in prison, nor is her husband. You know what I mean? And how many times was he on that island? You know what I'm talking about? Anyways, 420 in the room. Let's freaking go. Happy 420 to the crypto fam. Pump the likes to pump the stream, and let's get this mofo started. I used to get those gnats riding my motorcycle. Oh, that's the worst. I know what you mean, because sometimes they're everywhere, and I take my e-bike out, and you got to make sure your mouth's shut, and sometimes they'll even get in your eyes. You get home, and in the white side of your eyes, you see the little gnats. Annoying. If everyone buys, we won't go lower. Yeah, so everyone buy. There you go. And put it in self-storage. That's right. Cold wallet. Take your crypto off the exchanges, family. Bitcoin is going to dip to close 35,000. Probably will sit here for a 3-week month. Then it's going to straight to the moon. South Carolina has legislation in the General Assembly to ban CBDCs within the state. That's good to hear. DeSantis also claims to be anti-CBDC and says he'll protect us from it for the people in Florida. There are more than two options, people. Wake up. Don't deprive yourself of an awesome candidate. RFK Jr., Team Kennedy on the tube. There you go. Because Vivek bowed out and gave his support to Trump. So, yeah, there's not a lot of options right now. You got Trump. Biden is not even making appearances at his press conferences. Is he too old to speak? I don't know what's going on with him. But it's ultimately Trump, Biden. RFK Jr. is running independent. I respect that. But Vivek's out of the race. What are the other options? Is DeSantis still in the race? I haven't seen much from him, so I don't know. That's why I asked. I don't really follow politics. Jim Cramer is definitely a true bear boy. Yeah, he put in another buy signal for us. Inverse Cramer. I shared it a little earlier on X. Grayscale and miners are dumping. That explains the dump. When is Jamie going to jail? Excellent question, family. Support levels. I bought more last night and is going to buy more once the candle closes. Anyways, I know you guys are getting impatient, so let's dive into our Bitcoin TA, aka Astrology for Men. Let's check out the charts where the price action is likely to go next. Shout out to Badar Ahmed. I appreciate you subbing to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. Much love, much respect. So here we go. Bitcoin remains stuck below 43 Gs this week, as even institutional buyers has little impact on the markets. Here you're looking at the Bitcoin 4-hour candle chart, and TradingView confirms the price action is focused on a narrow range for the 7th day in a row. Since dropping 15% in the 2 days last week after the launch of the first spot US ETFs, Bitcoin has underwhelmed the traders. While so far not delivering further downside, the bulls likewise lack the momentum to bring Bitcoin back to even the top of its border trading range, with 48,000 as the ceiling. In fact, we actually touched roughly 49,000. It was very short-lived, but that was right off the back of the announcement of the approval. Then we started dumping immediately after. But examining which hurdles lie in the way, trading resource material indicators flagged the key problem: too much liquidity around the spot price action. Quoting them here, liquidity dampens the volatility. That is precisely why Bitcoin has been trading sideways, with the price pinned between 41.5 and 44,000 since Saturday. Now, material indicators presented the heat map you can see on your screen of the order book liquidity on Binance, showing a haze. Where my purple haze at, fam? A bid support between 42 and which is the spot around 42.5. Quoting them again, on the weekly view of the Binance order book, we can see another 10 million plus, and Bitcoin bids has moved around 42,000, but resistance above 43.5 has been strengthening. And since Bitcoin fell below 44,000, significant seller interest has appeared both there and at 45. The heat map additionally confirmed. Now, material indicators concluded there was no clear candidates for shaking up the market in the short term. Now, various other theories for why Bitcoin is not reacting to the ETF launch with snap gains, meanwhile, continue to surface. We have Philip Swift, creator of Statistics Resource, looking to Bitcoin. And shout out to Philip Swift. I've interviewed him here on the channel. We've done some live Q&A, not Q&A, but also TA, as he's a pretty awesome analyst. And if you'd like to see me bring him back on the channel, let me know. Maybe we'll do that. He flagged the classic signal on its value days destroyed multiple metric, the VDD, which multiplies the existing coin days destroyed metric by the current price of Bitcoin to compare spending velocity over time. Typically marks a local top when it passes 1.5, according to Swift, quoting him here. Value days destroyed multiple reached frothy levels for this early stage of the cycle. No surprise the Bitcoin price needed to cool down. So there you have it. And as Cointelegraph reported, the VDD suggests that Bitcoin was in an early stage bull market in July last year. And now quoting the high priest of Bitcoin, Max Kaiser, Bitcoin ETFs are a gateway drug to self-custody. Tell him. Love that quote, by the way. And what a great image of Kaiser and Peter Shifty here. Interesting. And also breaking news, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF now officially holds over 25,000 Bitcoin, worth over $1 billion. How long did it take them to acquire 25,000 Bitcoin? 1 week. And the ironic part is they don't even got to put up their own money, right? Other people do. And guess what? They get to hold it through Coinbase. But remember, not your Bitcoin, if it's on the exchanges, not your Bitcoin, if it's held by the ETFs. You get the cash equivalent, but you have to keep in mind, what if the government were to seize all of the Bitcoin ETF BTC, in which Max Kaiser has been warning us against? Let's not forget, in 1933, we had the Gold Seizure Act, in which they confiscated all the gold and made it illegal to hold. What if that's the ultimate plan, to make illegal self-custody and force all the Bitcoin on the exchanges and to the custodians, yada, 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 and then it's a way for them to snatch up all the Bitcoin in the name of national security? Let me know your thoughts on that. Conspiracy theory, fam. And with that being shared, let's dive into our next story of the day. Welcome everyone joining the stream. Pump the likes to pump the stream. We appreciate it. Let's discuss the latest with the Bitcoin ETFs. I just shared with you BlackRock now holds over 25,000 BTC through their ETF, and it only took a freaking week. The historic launch of the spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US triggered the sell-off in crypto, but in the ETF industry, the funds have been successful in the first week of trading, according to analysts. Since the first day of the spot ETF, January 11th, Bitcoin tumbled 6.6% from nearly 49,000 to 42.8 at the time of this article, according to data from CoinGecko. The sharp decline came mostly in the first 2 days of trading, while the intra-week low was 41,753, and right now we're barely even holding on to 41,000, family. Despite the hot Bitcoin ETFs failing to fuel the Bitcoin price spike in the first week of trading, which was expected by some prominent investors, the funds themselves have seen a successful start thus far, according to the industry analysts. The debut of the spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US was one of the most successful ETF launches in terms of trading volumes, with 10 funds reaching 10 billion in combined volume in the first 3 days. And according to the expert Balchunas, spot Bitcoin ETFs have seen unprecedented activity and volume since their launch. Balchunas claimed that all 500 ETFs launched in 2023 have reached only 450 million in combined volume thus far, which is 2,100% less than the spot ETFs did in just 3 days. Let that sink in. And quoting him here, it is hard to get volume, harder than flows even, and definitely harder than assets, because volume has to form naturally in the marketplace, can't really be faked, and it gives an ETF staying power. So most trading volumes came from the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust ETF, GBTC, which accounted for more than 50% of the combined 10 billion in volume in the first 3 days. And according to Yahoo Finance data, GBTC has traded more than 6.3 billion so far, handling around 2 billion per day in the first 2 days of trading. Now, GBTC has seen massive selling following the ETF launch, with the fund seeing 1.2 billion in net outflows in the first 3 days of trading, which is most likely to contribute to the dumpage in the market. GBTC sells 27,000 BTC, but other ETFs buy more. So while GBTC has been offloading massive amounts of Bitcoin in the first days of trading, other spot ETFs have been growing their Bitcoin holdings. In the first 4 days after launch, GBTC sold a total of 27,000 Bitcoin, or 4.4% of its total initial holdings, meaning they still have roughly 619,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin Investor Capital 15C reposted. On the other hand, other ETF issuers, including BlackRock, Fidelity, and Ark Invest, bought at least 40,000 BTC combined. And BlackRock's iShare Bitcoin Trust, the second largest spot Bitcoin ETF by holdings, increased its assets from 2,600 Bitcoin on January 11th to now more than 25,000 as of yesterday, January 17th. And you can see right here the holdings of Bitcoin as of January 17th, with BlackRock leading the pack with, according to this, over 16,000, Fidelity 12,000, Bitwise 8,000, Ark 21, 5,000, and the list goes on. So according to the latest available data from the ETF issuers, the spot ETFs currently hold 651,819 BTC combined, which is 3.3% of all 19.6 million Bitcoins that have ever been issued. Let that sink in. And in addition to that, we also have MicroStrategy currently holds roughly 200,000 BTC, which is roughly 1% of the circulating Bitcoin supply, but to be more precise, 0.9%. So what's next for the spot spot Bitcoin ETFs. The launch of these ETFs in the US have been seen by many as a sell the news moment, with some analysts suggesting that more pressure could come from the futures markets. Quoting analysts here, Jurian Timmer, who's actually the Fidelity Director of Global Macro, we're likely seeing a short-term positioning adjustment and not a long-term trend reversal, but unwinding an increase of more than 13,000 futures contracts is likely to create some churn in the price action in the coming weeks. And according to VanEck's head of digital asset research, Matthew Siegel, the latest short-term correction could have been triggered by Bitcoin miners selling coins more actively recently, coupled with Bitcoin halving expected to occur in roughly 90 days in April. The entrance of institutions is likely to send Bitcoin to the all-time highs after the U.S. presidential elections in the fourth quarter of 2024, according to Siegel. He also shared, "We are pleased to see the ETFs trading with such liquidity, tight spreads, and small discounts to NAVs. We expect institutional investors to accelerate their purchases over the coming quarters as their asset allocation models, including Bitcoin, are released to the market." And according to Standard Chartered, the spot Bitcoin ETFs could attract inflows of 50 to 100 billion this year in 2024, with the Bitcoin price potentially hitting 200,000 per Bitcoin by the end of 2025. Now, Standard Chartered is a massive financial institution, and guess who the primary shareholder is? BlackRock. So you already know they're bullish on Bitcoin, anticipating a 200,000 price action, typically before the end of the cycle, which they're anticipating to be in 2025. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this sentiment. But anyways, fam, let's dive into our next story of the day. Continue discussing some of these ETFs, what Bitwise is up to right now. You can see the headlines right here. Bitwise spot Bitcoin ETF in top 5% of the largest ETFs launched in 2023. And we're not too far out now. And again, the Bitcoin ETF was just launched last week. We're already approaching the volume of gold. And think about how long the gold ETFs have been around. So anyways, the Bitwise Bitcoin ETF Trust, which is BitB, is now in the top 5% of ETFs by assets under management, launched in 2023. Now, on January 18th, Hunter Horsley, co-founder and CEO of the asset manager Bitwise, announced that BitB took another 68 million and bought Bitcoin. Horsley highlighted that this places the total inflows of assets into BitB at 370 million in the previous 4 days. As he shares here on Twitter, today the Bitwise Bitcoin ETF took in another 68 milli and bought Bitcoin. Now 370 million total inflows over 4 days. Grateful to the investors for entrusting us to steward their assets in the space. Again, Bitcoin ETF is not equivalent to Bitcoin and self-custody, family. What Max say a little earlier, we quoted him right here. He shared, Bitcoin ETFs are a gateway drug to self-custody. Preach. Now, Nate Gerasi, president of the investment advising firm ETF Store, claimed in a post that BitB, which only launched 4 days before, outperforms many ETFs that launched in 2023. Gerasi said that by reaching assets under management of 355 mil, the ETF would rank in the top 25 of the 540 ETFs launched in 2023. As Nate shares here, just put things into perspective. Over 540 ETFs were launched last year in 2023. Now, BitB's 355 mil assets under management places it at the top 25 of those ETFs using our current assets under management in 4 days. That's pretty insane. Now, BitB's assets under management is now hovering at around 354 mil, according to an ETF tracker created by Sprout Finance. This means the ETF's ranking may have since dropped in the rankings. And on January 16th, the newly launched spot Bitcoin ETFs outperformed 500 other ETFs launched last year in 2023, according to the Bloomberg ETF analyst, Mr. Balchunas. And while the other ETFs clocked a volume of 450 million that day, spot Bitcoin ETFs pulled in a total volume of 1.8 billion. Meanwhile, data shared by Bloomberg intelligent analyst James Seyfarth showed the overall trading volume across the new spot Bitcoin ETF products reaching 10 billion in the last 3 days. Crazy, right? Now, amongst the newly launched spot Bitcoin ETFs, BitB lies in the third place by assets under management, as you can see in this chart, with BlackRock iShares Bitcoin Trust at the top with over 700 million, followed by Fidelity's FBTC in second place with 427 mil in assets under management. So there you have it, my crypto fam. So let's dive into our next story of the day, shall we? Welcome, JDibs. I appreciate you subbing, family. Let's discuss the latest with the Bitcoin miners. The headline reads here, Bitcoin mining sustainable energy usage hits an all-time high of 54.5%. The Bitcoin ESG forecast has revealed that Bitcoin mining using sustainable energy has increased to a new all-time high of 54.5%, with sustainable mining rising by 3.6% overall during the calendar year of 2023. And according to the article, the Bitcoin ESG forecast analyzed data from its Bitcoin Energy and Emissions Sustainability Tracker, or BEEST model, and compared the sustainable energy mix of Bitcoin to other industries over the past 4 years using publicly available data. And right now we're sitting at 54.5%. Now, wasn't it Elon Musk that made the promise, if we can prove that, Bitcoin is using clean energy surpassing 50%, that he would accept Bitcoin for Teslas? But yet, no word from Elon. Crickets. But according to the data, Bitcoin mining is currently the highest use of sustainable energy, 54.5% across multiple subsectors. And it has achieved an increase in sustainable mining of 3.6% for the calendar year of 2023 compared with the other global industries. The Bitcoin ESG forecast found off-grid Bitcoin miners using methane emissions. And according to the research, small oil producers in Canada and the US pay for permits to flare nat gas, with some venting methane directly, which is harder to detect. However, some mining companies use vented methane to generate electricity for Bitcoin mining, reducing the environmental impact compared to venting it into the air. This means the Bitcoin network mitigates 7.3% of all its emissions without offsets, a new all-time high in the highest level of non-offset based emission mitigation of any industry. And according to the article, additional off-grid renewable energy, such as Tether's expansion into hydro mining in Latin America and the discovery of more off-grid methane mitigating mining, it means that the Bitcoin network uses more sustainable energy than ever. And after the ban on mining back in China and its effective prohibition in Kazakhstan, miners predominantly moved to the greener grids in North America, such as Texas, or sustainable off-grid sites. The Post states that global grids are becoming greener at 0.7% per year, resulting in a 29% improvement in emission intensity for on-grid Bitcoin miners compared to 2021. So there you have it, family. Now, also, let's not forget there's geothermal technology, which they're diving into in El Salvador. Max said it could take a few years to finish the setup process, but they already began, where they're going to be using the natural energy from the volcanoes to mine Bitcoin. Now, think about all the volcanoes on the planet, especially in Latin America, Central America, South America. There's a lot of volcanoes that could be mining Bitcoin. And there's other alternative methods of free energy as well, which has been suppressed for the past century. And I won't dive any deeper into that because I want my YouTube channel to be up for a long time. But you guys know what I'm saying. Nikola Tesla discovered free energy a very long time ago. There's an infinite amount of energy in the ether, pun not intended here, but there's an infinite amount of energy we can tap into, but that technology has been suppressed, if you know what I'm saying. Let's discuss the stock to flow targets from Plan B, his latest 3 targets. If you're not familiar with the stock to flow model, it ultimately predicts Bitcoin hovering between 100 G's per coin and 1 million per coin between 2024 and 2028. So here's the latest predictions. Then we'll dive into the latest Cathie Wood for all my broskies out there. So here we go. According to Plan B, creator of the Bitcoin stock to flow model, the Bitcoin price is likely to soar to 55,000 before the next halving event. This halving event is slated to take place in roughly 90 days in April, and the Bitcoin block reward is bound to reduce by 50% to 3.125 BTC. And throughout history, there has been a major buying frenzy ahead of these halving events, underscoring the projection from Plan B. Now, later this year, Plan B expects the price of Bitcoin to soar beyond the all-time high to a high. Did someone say high? 100,000. It is worth noting that this price target has been Plan B's call for some time now. The difference this time is the presence of the spot Bitcoin ETFs following the historic approval granted by the US SEC. Now, I also heard Gary say in his own voice, the chairman of the SEC, that if it wasn't for the lawsuit of Grayscale winning against the SEC, they would have never changed their stance and would have never gave the green light for these Bitcoin ETFs. So we got to give Grayscale some credit here. Now, in the long term, Plan B said he expects the price of Bitcoin to touch a high of 532,000 per BTC Send it. Now, how would your life change, family, if we were sitting on a $532,000 biddy? Let me know. The veteran trader pegged the timeline for this extremely bullish price call in 2025. And as revealed by the accompanying video he released, he backed his price forecast using the iconic stock to flow model, thus granting additional legitimacy to the projections as a whole. Now, Plan B has relatively conservative outlook. Bullish as the call from Plan B is, it is relatively conservative when compared to other major bulls like Samson Mow. The top Bitcoin investor believes the spot Bitcoin ETF products will catalyze the price of Bitcoin to $1 million per coin in the long term. While this is a far cry from the coin's current price of now $41,000, Samson Mow stands by his prediction, and he wants a loan accolade when the coin hits that historic high. So there you have it, my crypto fam. What are your thoughts on Plan B's prediction of a $500,000 Bitcoin price, and how high do you think we're likely to climb by this cycle peak? And do you think the cycle peak will be this year in 2024 against the grain of the history of the 4-year cycle? Or do you think it'll be the year preceding the halving, which would be next year in 2025? Let's discuss the latest from Cathie Wood. She announced that she has 25% of her wealth in the king crypto, Bitcoin. And she also says that Bitcoin is more likely to hit her $1.5 million bullish target by the year 2030. So here is the latest. And shout out to Cathie Wood. Pump the likes to pump the stream. Long live Cathie. So here you go. The headline here reads, why Cathie Wood placed 25% of her wealth in Bitcoin, a bold bet unveiled. Also another headline, Bitcoin to 1.5 million. Ark Invest's Cathie Wood makes epic Bitcoin price prediction. And she was also in a headline here. Cathie Wood sees the Bitcoin price reaching 1.5 million by 2030 after the ETF approval. Let's start right here. Cathie Wood, the founder and CEO of Ark Invest, has made several appearances across the mainstream media to discuss the first U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF. The asset manager and Wood herself have been long-term supporters of cryptocurrency. That's right, she's an early investor. So in the interview with the Schwab network, the asset manager revealed how much of her network had been allocated into Bitcoin. Wood said around 25% of her net worth was converted into Bitcoin. Now, personally, I think of this number as like such a rookie number. Why wouldn't you have 75 or 80%? But also consider she's extremely wealthy. She has mass amount of money, and who knows what other types of investments she has. So I think it's pretty cool of her to come out and say it, that her net worth in Bitcoin is 25%. I've also heard Ricardo Salinas, the third richest amigo in Mexico, say that the majority of his portfolio, of his wealth, was in Bitcoin. So I think Ricardo is even more bullish than Cathie. But anyways, however, the asset manager founder clarified that this estimation is a rough guess, meaning more or less of this percentage could be Bitcoin. More specifically, Wood stated. So who knows? Maybe she's really 50%. She just threw some number out there. Who knows? Quoting her here, my financial network, pretty much all of it is in innovation. Let's put it that way. It's just my degree of confidence in the depth of our research that gives me the courage, people might say, to be more aggressive in this realm. Now, while Wood only disclosed her Bitcoin holdings, the interviews hinted at the Ark CEO holding other digital assets, and Wood added, either in our kind of funds, private funds, or crypto, primarily Bitcoin. So what other crypto is the question is Cathie Wood holding? If you were to guess, let me know your thoughts in the comments, family. Now, since its approval the other day, the Bitcoin ETFs recorded billions of dollars in trading volume. We've already touched upon this. One of the asset managers include Ark 21 Shares, which is Cathie Wood's company. And I like to point out that she has amongst the lowest fees in comparison to the other ETFs, and the highest is going to be Grayscale with roughly 1.5%. That's why a lot of people are selling out of GBTC to put it in one of the ETFs with the lower fees, because nobody wants to pay 1.5% per year. Now, also, let's discuss her predictions now. So here we go. When Ark Invest Cathie Wood speaks, investors usually listen, especially the broskies, with more caution. With a reputation for forward-thinking investment strategies, Wood has set the bar high, positing a base case for Bitcoin at $600,000 per coin. That's her base case, family. I think it's like $670,000 to be more precise. And the bull case reaching an eye-watering, now $1.5 million by 2030. A while back, she made the prediction years ago. She was anticipating $1 million by 2030. Well, they upped that number now to $1.5 million, especially off the back of these ETFs being approved. This prediction comes amid the surge of activity of the market, amplified by the launch of the Bitcoin ETF. As we mentioned, the making staggering record-breaking numbers. I think within the first day, they did 4.3 billion in volume. So what are your thoughts surrounding her 1 million and 1.5 million price prediction? Let me know. Do you think Bitcoin could reach 1.5 million by the year 2030? How many years out is that? 6. When's the next halving? 3 months. Then we're going to have another halving in 2028. So she's ultimately saying 2 years after the following halving, not this one this year, but the following halving in 2028, she's anticipating that 1.5 million Bitcoin price. She also is quoted saying, "We think the probability of the bull case has increased with the SEC approval." So this is the green light. According to Cathie Wood, which she shared on CNBC the other week. The Ark Invest CEO also said the base case would see the price rise 258,000 and the base case of 682,000. Not too shabby for a base case. Ark backed up the previous 1 million price prediction, pointing to the higher hash rate, which is true, and the longer-term hodler supply and the addresses with a non-zero balance compared to the prior downturns. The SEC's approval of the spot ETFs had likely added to the bullish thesis. So there you have it, my crypto fam. What are your thoughts on Cathie Wood allocating roughly 25% of her wealth into Bitcoin? And what are your thoughts surrounding her base case at roughly 680,000 and her bull case now at 1.5 million per coin? And what do you feel the likelihood is of us actually hitting 1 million to a 1.5 million price action by the year 2030? If you think this will turn into fruition and come true, us hitting at least 1 million by the year 2030, put a 1 in the live chat. If you think there's just no way possible, it's not happening, you don't anticipate it, you don't expect it, put a 2. If you think less than 1 million by the year 2030, I want to see the consensus here in the chat.